Corporate Karma Case Files. Confidential, unfiltered, corporate.
Imagine spending like 6 entire months writing a 200-page strategic masterpiece for your company. I mean, you are pouring your soul into this.
Right, the sleepless nights, sacrificing your weekends, all of it.
Exactly. And so you walk into a meeting expecting this massive promotion, but instead, your bosses steal the report, submit it under someone else's name, and then just fire you on the spot to cover their tracks.
Which is just, wow, it's brutal.
It really is. So welcome to another deep dive. Today, we are unpacking a story of absolute corporate betrayal that, honestly, it completely dismantles that comfortable illusion of being the quote-unquote good employee.
Yeah, we're looking at a really engaging breakdown from the YouTube channel Corporate Karma. The video is called Bread Earner to Breadwinner.
And it details the unbelievable transformation of a guy named Arjun Mehta. He goes from being this invisible, overworked, mid-level analyst to an unstoppable business owner.
But our mission today isn't just to, gawk at a dramatic story. We want to extract the pivotal mindset shifts, the scrappy habits, and those core philosophies that you, the learner, can actually apply to your own professional path.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand the massive shift Arjun makes, we have to look at where he started. Because his reality is going to sound uncomfortably familiar to a lot of you listening.
Oh, absolutely. It is the standard corporate blueprint. So at 29 years old, Arjun is a mid-level analyst at a mid-sized firm. He is, by all accounts, just mid-everything.
Mid-everything, yeah.
His entire existence is dictated by the punch clock. He is in the office at 9 a.m. and doesn't leave until 8 p.m.
Skipping weddings, missing birthdays. He's constantly canceling dinners with his father.
Yeah, and there's this incredibly poignant detail in the source where his father only asks him one thing. He just wants to know, Beta, are you happy?
Wow, and is he?
Well, no. But Arjun is completely trapped by this fundamentally flawed belief. He assumes that if he just keeps his head down, stays quiet, and grinds away, someone in a corner office is eventually going to notice his hard work and reward him.
I always picture this mindset like putting coins into a broken vending machine. Like, the exact machine I'm talking about.
The one that just eats your money.
Exactly. You put your money in, you press the button, and absolutely nothing comes out. But because you're already so invested, because your coins are already in the slot, you don't just walk away.
Right. You put in more coins, you shake the machine.
Yeah, you tell yourself, well, if I just push this button a little harder, the social contract will hold up. The reward is guaranteed. You operate under the assumption that the machine is fair, and you refuse to believe it's actually rigged.
The psychology of that good employee illusion is exactly what keeps the machine running. I mean, his boss knew his Excel sheets, but didn't even know his name.
That's so common, though.
It is. The company knew his output, but they had absolutely no concept of his underlying worth. When you operate under the assumption that your output speaks for itself, you are essentially outsourcing your entire career trajectory.
To managers who are, frankly, way too stressed about their own careers to monitor yours.
Precisely. Arjun was trading his youth, his family time, and his energy for a currency that the company wasn't even bothering to count.
Which brings us to the moment the vending machine just completely tips over and crushes him. So it's March 14th. Arjun gets called into a glass-walled meeting room.
The classic setup.
Right. 3 senior managers are sitting there, the blinds get shut, and Arjun thinks, this is the moment. He's expecting the reward for that 200-page market expansion report he just killed himself to finish.
And this report is full of deep data, forward-looking strategy, revenue projections. It's a gold mine.
But instead of a promotion, they slide a pink slip across the table. They tell him he is being let go due to, quote, restructuring.
Such a hollow word.
It really is. And then the true gut punch lands. He figures out that his masterpiece had already been sent up the corporate ladder. His managers stripped his name off it, took all the credit, and fired him to eliminate the one person who knew the truth.
It's just the ultimate extraction of value. But what's fascinating here is we have to look at why this exact magnitude of betrayal was necessary for Arjun's transformation.
You think it had to be this bad?
I do. Think about the alternative. If Arjun had just been laid off normally, or if he had received, a mediocre performance review that capped his salary, what would he have done?
He probably would have just updated his resume, interviewed somewhere else, and found another broken vending machine to plug his coins into.
Exactly. The utter ruthlessness of this theft completely shattered his illusion of the corporate social contract. He realized that his company didn't just passively overlook his worth, They actively, maliciously exploited it.
So he walks out of that building into the pouring rain, and he doesn't even have an umbrella. He just stands there in the roaring city for 10 minutes, totally silent.
Cinematic, really.
Very cinematic low point. But realistically, the data shows most people in this exact state of shock panic and take the first job they can find. Why didn't he?
It's because of the psychological threshold he just crossed. When a betrayal is that absolute, it forces an identity crisis. The loyal employee identity was dead.
Right.
If he rushed into a new job, he would just be carrying the corpse of that old identity into a new building.
Hold on, though. The details of his reality make what he does next sound completely reckless. Like, he doesn't panic, he doesn't update his LinkedIn, he doesn't call his network begging for referrals.
No, for 3 weeks he does absolutely nothing.
But we know he only had 40,000 rupees in savings. That is practically zero runway. Taking a 3-week pause with draining savings isn't just counterintuitive. I mean, from the outside, it looks financially irresponsible.
His family is definitely panicking.
Right, and his friends are offering hollow advice. How is this 3-week isolation justified?
Well, it looks irresponsible if you view it through the lens of a standard W-2 employee. But you have to look at what was happening internally. Panic applying would have kept Arjun locked in a mindset of scarcity.
What they call the bread earner mentality.
Yes, exactly. The bread earner mentality. You are begging for crumbs. You are submitting resumes, essentially asking an employer, hey, please validate my existence and give me a fraction of the value I create.
Wow, yeah.
To shift from a bread earner to a breadwinner, he needed complete isolation from the system that broke him.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I think of it like a computer rebooting in safe mode.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. When your operating system is infected with a virus, you don't just keep opening up new web browsers and try to work through the glitches. You shut the entire machine down.
You completely disconnect it from the network.
Exactly. You boot up with only the most basic, essential functions so you can rewrite the corrupted software. If Arjun had panic applied, he would have just plugged his corrupted software right back into the same toxic corporate network.
And that safe mode reboot culminates at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. He's sitting in this small room, he's surrounded by coffee cups and notebooks, and he finally confronts a terrifying question.
Which is?
A question that just strips away all the noise. He asks himself, what would I build if I knew I couldn't fail?
I love that question.
Yeah.
Because the answer wasn't some mystical startup idea that came out of nowhere. It was literally right in front of him.
Yeah, he realized he needed to build the exact market expansion strategy his company had just stolen from him.
But this time, he was going to execute it for himself.
Right. He already had the 200 pages in his head. He knew the data points. He knew the market gap. He knew the exact operational strategy. The intellectual property was his.
He just needed to change the beneficiary of that knowledge, from his exploitative bosses to his own bank account.
Exactly.
But, you know, having a brilliant realization at 2 a.m. is the easy part. I mean, a million people have million-dollar ideas in the middle of the night, and then the sun comes up and they just go back to their 9 to 5.
So true.
Execution is where the friction lives. And Arjun's conditions for execution were terrible. We mentioned the 40,000 rupees. He's also trying to build this business on a laptop with a severely cracked screen.
Yeah, he embraced the friction, though. He didn't wait to incorporate an LLC or rent some pristine co-working space or, design a flawless logo.
So what did he do?
He started firing off cold emails at midnight. He threw together a basic website. He just started making endless calls. He substituted capital with sheer velocity.
Let's talk about the sequence of rejection he faced, because it is brutal. He finally gets a meeting. Pitch 1, rejected outright. Pitch 2, ghosted entirely. Pitch 3, the prospect actually laughs in his face.
That is rough.
I want you listening to really sit with that. Your savings are evaporating. Your family thinks you've lost your mind. You're staring at a cracked screen. And the third person you pour your professional soul out to just laughs at you.
It takes a toll.
Is this level of relentless persistence a habit you can actually learn? Or is it just born out of the raw fury he felt from being robbed?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the fury is the ignition, absolutely. Anger can get you out of bed and make you send the first 50 emails. But anger isn't a sustainable fuel source. The persistence comes from a fundamental rewiring of his feedback. Think about how Arjun used to operate. His entire feedback loop was dependent on pleasing 3 senior managers in a glass-walled room.
And if they ignored him, his only recourse was to just work harder in total silence.
Exactly. But once he started his own venture, his habit loop changed. He stopped seeking permission, and his feedback loop shifted to the open market.
So rejection stops being a personal insult and starts becoming a data point.
Precisely. Pitch 1 didn't work. Why? Data. Pitch 2 was ghosted. Was the pricing wrong? Data. Pitch 3 was laughed at. Was the value proposition unclear? Data.
You stopped seeking corporate permission and started gathering market feedback.
When you view rejection as market research rather than political slight, your resilience becomes almost limitless. You are just iterating an algorithm.
And the algorithm finally cracks on the fourth pitch. He gets a meeting with a young startup founder, someone who is barely older than Arjun himself.
Right.
This founder doesn't care about corporate hierarchy or how many years Arjun spent in a cubicle. He just reads the pitch deck, sees the strategy, and asks 3 words. When can you start?
That is the moment the new operating system is validated. And once that seal is broken, the scaling happens incredibly fast.
Because he actually has the skills.
Yes. He delivers on the first contract, and that 1 client becomes 2. 2 clients become 5. Fast forward just 8 months, and Arjun isn't begging for a job. He is actively creating them.
He hires his first employee on a Thursday morning, right?
Yeah, and he calls his father that evening to tell him. And his father just breaks down in tears.
Oh, wow. He went from being completely invisible, just a nameless ghost in a cubicle, to building an entity that people could see and respect. It is the ultimate dream scenario.
It really is.
But the true climax of this entire journey, the real test of whether his mindset shift was permanent, it arrives 18 months after that rainy day. And it arrives right in his inbox.
The ultimate twist. 18 months post-firing, he gets an email from the exact same manager who handed him the pink slip.
Wait, really?
Yes. The very same firm that stole his 200-page report is reaching out to him.
It feels scripted for a movie. The old firm is rapidly losing market share. And where are they bleeding the most? In the exact market segment that Arjun's stolen report had predicted.
They're completely panicking. They have been watching his consultancy grow from the outside. They see his market dominance.
So they offer to hire him back, but this time as a high-level strategic consultant.
And they offer him a rate that is 4 times his old salary, 4 times the money they originally paid him.
Just imagine the pure, unfiltered vindication of reading that email, looking at the screen and seeing the people who threw you out into the rain now desperately asking to stand under your umbrella.
Oh, it must have felt incredible.
But Arjun doesn't immediately reply. He sits with the email for a while, and then he types 2 simple words. No thanks.
A lot of people would take that money. The financial incentive is huge, but you have to understand why he said no. The source explicitly states it wasn't driven by petty revenge.
It wasn't about getting back at them.
No, it wasn't about teaching them a lesson. He declined the offer out of pure structural clarity.
So what does this all mean? We hear metaphors all the time about dropping heavy baggage or taking off a heavy backpack you've been carrying. But you don't yell at the backpack, you just leave it on the ground and walk away. That doesn't really explain the leverage here, though.
No, it's deeper than that.
To me, accepting that 4x offer would be like figuring out a casino is rigged, getting thrown out onto the street, slowly building your own highly profitable casino across town, and then accepting an invitation to go back and play at the rigged casino just because they offered you VIP chips.
That is perfectly said.
Why would you ever step back into a system you already know is designed to extract your value?
That captures the dynamic perfectly. It's about who owns the architecture of your career. The core philosophy that the narrative establishes is this: the moment you stop needing the people who once held your value hostage, you are truly free.
Wow.
If Arjun had accepted that 4x salary, he would have been stepping right back up to the very table he was kicked out from. He would still be relying on them to validate his worth, just at a slightly higher premium.
He realized he wasn't a bread earner collecting crumbs from someone else's table anymore. He had built his own table. And by saying no thanks, he permanently cemented his new identity.
His value was intrinsic, it was market verified, and it was entirely independent of his former employers.
It's the ultimate proof that the safe mode reboot worked. The virus of seeking their approval was entirely gone.
Exactly.
Okay, Arjun's story is undeniably dramatic, cinematic, and incredibly satisfying. But if you were listening to this on your morning commute, or while sitting at your own corporate desk, your reality is probably much messier.
Yeah, most of us don't get a dramatic rainy day betrayal.
Right. So how do we take the architecture of Arjun's transformation and apply it to a normal career? Let's spend some time deeply analyzing the practical steps this journey gives us, because the friction of actually doing this is where most people get stuck. What stands out to you?
Well, the very first step is to audit your value independently. Arjun realized far too late that his company knew his output, but only he could determine his actual market worth.
But how do you actually do that? Because if you only look at your internal salary band, or what the guy in the cubicle next to you is making, your perspective is skewed by the rigged casino.
You have to look outside the building. You audit your value by taking interviews for roles you aren't even looking to accept. You talk to recruiters.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, you look at what independent consultants charge for the exact tasks you do every Tuesday afternoon. You need hard data on what your specific skill set commands in the open market, completely divorced from your current title. Are you letting a manager who barely knows your name artificially cap your value?
Which leads directly to step 2. Take the strategic pause. If you face a major setback, like a layoff, a denied promotion, a brutal project failure, the natural human instinct is to immediately fix the discomfort by jumping into the exact same role at a different company.
But we just talked about how that leads to repeating the cycle.
Right. The friction here is obvious, though. People have rent, they have mortgages. Taking a 3-week pause to stare at notebooks isn't feasible for everyone.
It doesn't have to be 3 weeks, but you must implement a circuit breaker. Even a dedicated 3-day weekend where you entirely disconnect from LinkedIn, isolate yourself from anxious family members, and refuse to send a single resume is a strategic pause.
Just to clear your head.
You need that isolation to process the emotional hit and prevent yourself from making panic-driven career moves that keep you in the bread earner mindset.
And during that circuit breaker, you execute step 3. Ask the fearless question. What would I build if failure wasn't an option?
This step is crucial because it bypasses your internal risk assessment. We usually plan our careers based on what we think we won't fail at, which naturally shrinks our ambition.
Yeah, you play it safe.
Asking what you would do if failure were impossible forces you to identify where your true, unfiltered capability lies.
Step 4 is where the leverage really gets built. Reclaim your stolen ideas. Now, maybe nobody literally stole a 200-page expansion report from you. But if you work in any modern knowledge economy, you likely have specialized knowledge, specific workflows, or strategic insights that you give away for free every single day to an entity that doesn't fully appreciate them.
The question is, how do you package that knowledge for yourself? Let's say you built an internal Excel macro that saves your department 20 hours a week. To your boss, that's just you doing your job.
But out in the market.
Out in the market, that is a proprietary operational efficiency system. You abstract the methodology away from your specific company, and suddenly you have a consulting package. You have to figure out how to be the primary beneficiary of your own intellectual property.
Finally, step 5. Embrace the scrappy start. Do not wait for the perfect conditions to test your value. Arjun didn't wait for a pristine office. He used a cracked laptop and 40,000 rupees.
Perfectionism is usually just procrastination disguised as high standards. You don't need a massive capital investment to test a hypothesis in the market.
You just need velocity.
Yes. Push past the first pitch that gets rejected, the second that gets ghosted, and the third that gets laughed at. Remember the shift in the feedback loop. Seek market data, not corporate permission.
Think about your own day-to-day right now. Are you currently sitting quietly, doing exceptional work, and just waiting for someone upstairs to notice your spreadsheets and hand you a reward? Or are you ready to stop waiting, audit your own worth, and start building your own table? Because the ultimate takeaway from Arjun's journey is this deeply powerful realization. Your situation is not your destination. Your setback is not your story.
This raises an important question, though, for all of us to ponder as we step away today. Arjun successfully bypassed the gatekeepers, he built his own table, and now he is hiring his own employees. But as his company scales and he brings more people into his own corporate structure, how does he ensure that he doesn't inevitably become the manager in the glass room?
Oh, wow.
Right. How do we aggressively build our own tables and achieve our own independence without eventually holding someone else's value hostage?
That is the ultimate tension of success. You don't want to finally escape the rigged casino, only to build a brand new broken vending machine for someone else. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take a hard look at your own professional paths, audit your true market value, and we'll see you for the next conversation.
Like, comment, subscribe. The next case file opens soon.